The Via Stoica podcast with Brendan and Benny. Powered by viastoica.com, your home for coaching, workshops, quotes, and Stoic content that inspires. Hello everyone, welcome to the Via Stoica podcast. Today it's just me. I'll be talking to you about how to make a choice, how to make your choice, how to make your proper choice. And as you can see, I'm the people watching on YouTube. I'm in Rhodes, Greece. You might not be able to see it, but you can see a little bit of the background. The house is behind me. It is a little bit cloudy today, but I had a lovely day. And I want to kind of take you through that day as well. Not all the specifics, but the most important parts of like how to make proper choice, right? How to make the choices that really fit you, that what the Stoics talk about, that are aligned with your nature, but also with virtue. And because this isn't easy, right? This is something that we are influenced by many things, by external factors on what we want to do and what we think is the most important thing for us to do. But making that choice from yourself, from reason and logic, knowing what you should be doing for what's most in line with your nature and what's best for the people and the society around you. That is really one of the core principles of Stoicism, right? We talk about the dichotomy of control a lot. And obviously, yes, this has influences there because we're thinking about, I can only control my thoughts, my opinions, my actions, and I want to leave external factors as much as I can outside. So why is this now a topic that I wanted to address? And why is this a perfect example to show how it works? And obviously, as you can see from the conversation later on, you can see why this is something that I still struggle with. And this is something that I'm working on more and more to make sure that I make the decisions, I make those choices from my own perspective, right? And not being influenced by what I think are the opinions of others. So first, again, I'm on Rhodes in Greece, wonderful place to be. I'll be heading out to Athens tomorrow. First time ever in the country. The origins of Stoicism. For those people who don't know, this is where Stoicism originated by Zeno in Athens, right? Maybe not in Rhodes, but we have Benesius of Rhodes who studied here. And if people follow on our, on the shorts or on Instagram or on TikTok, you can see that I went to the Acropolis here in Rhodes, where there's a gymnasium where Benesius of Rhodes most likely, probably would have studied. They probably maybe would have had a school here as well. But and it's been told that Cicero, even the Roman statesman, he came here as well to study, and he references Benesius many times in his writing. So he has a big influence on Stoic philosophy. He was the one who brought it more to the ethics side, which is something that the Romans really like, but they took over, right? They focused more on their actions and the ethical side than not so much on the physics or the logic, right? They did apply those two elements, but they focus more like, what do I need to do? Where does my action lie? So it's great to be here in this historical place. Can't wait to see Athens as well, to go to the Stoa Poikile, where the name Stoicism comes from, right? Where Zeno used to walk up and down teaching his philosophy, more in the likes of what Socrates did, right? As Socrates brought philosophy to the people. That's what Zeno did as well. We had, for example, Plato. He had his academy, which was more for the elite. Socrates had his own school that was also more for the elite. The Epicureans were in a garden, but Zeno really brought it to the streets. So I can't wait to go there. But for now, let me kind of take you through that journey. So today is my last day here. I've had some wonderful days of writing, working. I'm very inspired. I've had my days of the cultural parts as well. I went to the Acropolis. I walked down the old town here in Rhodes. Again, if you have time to come and visit, it's a wonderful place full of history, beautiful nature, beaches, whatever you want to do. It's a really nice, easy, safe city to come and visit. So I'll definitely highly recommend coming here for anyone who is interested in any of those things. Can get a little bit touristy in the summer, but for now, in this period, May, June, it's quite nice. So I'm happy to be here. But, today, the last day, well, it started the day before, right? So I met the owners of the hotel and was like, what have you seen? And I was like, I didn't see much. I went to the Acropolis, and the last couple of days I was just working, right? And I was very inspired and I really wanted to work. And which I did. And I still, walked around. I did my fair share of things, but I had some couple of good days. With doing what I wanted to do. And there's like, I have not been to Lindos. Lindos is a place at the south side of the island where there's also some historical sites. To be honest, I hadn't really done a lot of research to that place. But, people kept talking about it. Had some other friends who mentioned, I was like, oh, have you been to Lindos? I was thinking about it, maybe I should go. But that's where the interesting part started for me, right? That's where it really um, became became a thing to make sure that I was making the choice for myself. Because a lot of the times, and maybe some listeners can recognize themselves on this, a lot of the times when I make decisions, it feels like it's being made for me. It feels like I need to live up to the expectations of others, right? And I'm not really here as a tourist. Yes, I'm here visiting this place for the first time, but I'm not purely as a tourist here. I'm also working, right? I'm also building, Via Stoica. I'm also doing other stuff. I want to read. I want to kind of, come to myself here in this place as well, which is something that's definitely working, I have to say. So I was being told or asked like, oh, have you been there? Have you seen these other places? And I was like, no, no, not really. I've been, doing my own things, and I felt a little bit of disappointment, right? And this is something that I felt from them. I felt a little bit disappointment. But that's, when I think about that more, that feels more like I'm projecting their emotions. And that's where the Stoics comes in, right? The Stoics, they say, whatever they're feeling is not your thing. Whatever they are feeling is not up to you. You've got to find, you know, what you want to be doing. Oh, I went to my room, I had dinner, had a lovely evening, went to sleep, went to bed. And then this morning I woke up with that question still in my head. What am I going to do? Do I want to have a similar day as the last couple of days where I had some, good inspiring work, I had some lovely food, nice walks, did some reading? Or do I want to go and sit in a bus for an hour and a half, visit this place, come back for an hour and a half? So, you can see already kind of where I'm going is like, do I want to have something new, or do I want to keep doing what I know? And I started asking myself, how can we find the choices that we make that are truly ours? How can we make sure that we are not being influenced by the external forces? We live in a day and age where it's so more difficult for us to stay close to our choice. If we look at all the things that we have to our availability, right? You're watching me here probably maybe on your laptop, maybe on your phone, maybe you're listening to me through Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever podcast player you're using. And still, we get so many bits of information, so many lives that people are living, so many images, maybe friends and family, maybe people we don't even know. Their images come across our screens and we're being influenced by them. And it's that comparison that we have when we see other people live their lives and how they do it, that can distort our choices, that can distort our way of how we should be living life. And that's something that we've got to get closer to. That's something that we really got to hone in on and ask, why am I doing this? What is the reason for me for doing this? So this morning I woke up and I had that voice in my head. If I don't go to Lindos, right? If I don't go visit this, what will I tell people, right? What will I say? What would I show them when people ask me, oh, what have you seen? Have you gone there? And I was like, no, I haven't. I haven't been there. It's like, okay, is that something that I want to say? Is that a position that I want to put myself in? How would they then view me? What would be their opinion of me? Would they ask like, oh, what are you doing here? Why are you traveling if you don't go visit these places? And interestingly enough, as I was thinking about this, it's like, these are the questions that I am asking myself, right? No one is asking these questions to me. They might think it, I don't know. They might not even consider it. They might not even think about me at all, whether I'm here or there. But those are some of the questions that I think that they ask. And that's when it becomes this mirror, right? Why am I traveling? What am I doing? Why am I here? The bigger picture, what am I doing in life? But why am I here now? What made me come to Greece, right? Part of it was the history. Part of it was just being, I love being in a seaside place, not necessarily go to the beach every day or a lot, but I like being in an environment like this. I like learning new cultures, all of that great stuff, right? So I was there this morning. I was thinking, okay, if I really listen to myself, I love to be, just relaxing, doing my stuff, doing some reading, walking around a little bit and living, that life that I wanted to live here. And on the other hand, I feel, I'm here, there's the Acropolis in Lindos, right? And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see some of the images that I took from there, kind of giving away what my choice ended up being. But There was an Acropolis. There was a nice little white village. There was some other parts of history. The Temple of Athena. There was the Stoa there, which was nice to see. Some other churches, some different parts of history, right? And I felt like, do I want to miss out on that? Do I have the chance here? Is a 1 hour bus trip really that bad to take? And maybe it's even the best thing to kind of disconnect from the work, which I've been doing a lot over the last couple of days and weeks. It may be that's the right thing to do. So I was still having that debate in myself, or am I doing it to please other people that I don't, might not even know, or might know, but they don't even think about it. They don't even care. And am I just stuck in the same kind of rut that I do because it's comfortable, right? So that's where I was thinking, and that's where I was going. And obviously, we don't want to go overthinking. We don't want to go too far into this kind of ruminating, into this kind of place where we get stuck in this question, which happens to me many times, and that kind of paralyzes me as well, where I don't do anything because I just keep asking myself that question. So how can we fix this, right? How can we make sure that the choices that we make are the right choices? A lot of the times for me, it comes from a certain kind of instinct. To be honest, my first choice when I was thinking about it is, okay, you know what? I know what it's like to have these days here. I can go to my regular breakfast spot, and I'm a person of routine. So I go to the same place because it's just a nice place that I know that the food sits well with me for a good day. I went to a nice place to work. Then I walk around and go find a nice place to read and see the environment as well. So these are the things that I usually tend to do. Saying, okay, I could have another day like that. I can do some more writing. I can do some more reading. Very inspiring, right? I really, look forward to that, to doing it as well. And then I started picturing that day in my head. I said, okay, I can do this, I can do that. And I started seeing that it was all just kind of the same. And at that moment of time, I just sat with it for a little bit. I did my morning exercises, took a shower, I just kind of prepared myself for the day. And as I was doing so, I felt this little voice, this kind of instinctive voice inside of me. Just go. Just go for an hour and a half there. Walk, see the place, have lunch, come back. You can still do some stuff when you come back, right? For example, now record. So as that voice was getting stronger in my head, and I started asking, okay, why would I go there? Say, oh, I like to see the history. That's one of the reasons why I came here, right? There is some Stoic connection here, which interests me. It's a nice place. Maybe a little trip might do me good. And that's where that shift started to make. That's where I started to listen to my intuition. I started to listen to that voice inside of me, and it started to give me more of a peaceful vibe. It started to give me that calm inside where I said, and that's what I use as a compass. People ask, like, how do you know when to do the right thing or what to do? When you kind of visualize that decision, when you kind of visualize the next steps that you have to make and you feel the calm coming over you, that's one of the key indicators for me. That's like, okay, this feels good. And that's where that choice started to shift. Okay, let me, instead of staying here doing the same thing, and tomorrow I'm leaving for Athens, right? Instead of doing that, let me just go and do something different. Let me disconnect and go and see this place, which I did, right? And it was a great decision at the end of the day. And the difference between it was I did it for myself. I didn't do it to please any other people. I didn't do it because I figured like, maybe someone would judge me for not having been there. Because if I hadn't gone, if I had stayed here, it would have been perfectly fine with me as well. But now I'd gone, I went there and, definitely recommend going there. The Acropolis is beautiful. The place, if you like beaches, when I travel alone, I didn't spend a lot of time there. I'm not a big fan of sitting, on a beach for an entire day. That's just not who I am. That's just not what I do. But I like to be in that environment, right? I like to be in that place. So I walked around the town. It was quite busy with tourists. It's a small street town, but it's beautiful, right? One of those white villages that you see in the images, on the pictures when you Google Greece, with the Acropolis, Temple of Athena there, all of that on top of a hill, right? A little bit of a climb, but it was really nice. So I went there, did my things, and I was supposed to take the bus. Well, I planned to take the bus back at 4:30 in the afternoon. But I walked around the sites, took some lovely images, saw everything, read up a little bit, had some lunch when I arrived. Then I walked, did my thing. And then as I was walking down, I was like, it was 1:15. I figured why would I still walk around for 3 more hours? I could go to the bus station, get the next bus back, and have an entire afternoon on roads, which I did. And that was lovely. So I had a little bit of both, right? Where I came back early, had my things here, and which was great. But the crux of this, episode is making that choice for you, making sure that the choice that you're making is one you're making because you feel that's the right thing to do and not being influenced by those external voices. And it is, as we mentioned before, it is getting more difficult to stay there, to stay in your own zone, because we have so many things coming at us, right? From social media, from families, but also just from the pictures that we see people take. And we see them having a lovely time, right? But we don't know what's behind the cameras, what's going on there. So that's one of the key things that I wanted to address here, and why I recorded this episode is because I'm in that process as well of making sure that the choices that we make are the choices that we feel that we have to make for ourselves, but also for the people around us, to make sure that we don't harm them, right? Because, and this is not an example in that case, but you could still have certain choices that you make that could harm or influence other people. And then we have to take that into consideration as well. Not doing that because they feel like we should be doing it, but that if you don't do certain actions, then that will negatively affect other people. That's when we need to take that into account. But in this case, it was quite isolated. Whether I went there or not, no one would have, had any effect on that. So one of the reasons why Stoicism really works for me is because it helps me with this part of the journey. It helps me be more authentic. It helps me make my choices better for myself. And that's really what I wanted to share today in this episode. I hope it made any sense. If you have any ideas of what you do to make sure that you stay grounded in your decisions and block out the external views or the external pushes that you might perceive or that you might project on other people, right? Because that's a lot of the times that's the case. And again, that's where it becomes very interesting. That's where Stoic philosophy really tells us to listen to those influences, not because you want to be influenced, but more because they, of what they might tell you about yourself. As I said, I felt like they would then be disappointed if I didn't go. Maybe they didn't care, but I felt that, right? I felt like, oh, this is what one needs to be doing when you go travel. This is what you need to be doing when you go abroad. And it's still something that, I love to travel. I go, I don't really have a home, the Netherlands, but I like to be abroad. But then I also like to have my routines and my daily life. So I need to find that mix. And that's why days like this are important for me to find out what it is that I really want. So yeah, that's pretty much it. To make sure that if you make a choice, ask yourself, why am I making it? What am I getting from it? Why is this important to me? And who is influencing me, or who am I allowing to influence me? And I'm making sure that you don't take that with you in your decision making, but you listen to yourself and having that voice inside of you, that calm presence being your compass to make sure that you proceed to the right place. So that's it, for me. Make sure you like and subscribe the episodes, and the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or anywhere else, you can leave a comment of how you make that choice. And if you struggle with making those choices or with the influences from outside and you want to have some support, we offer coaching on viastoica.com. You can go there. You can book a free consultation where we can see how we can help you, what we can do, and from there we can plan it forward. You can also find workshops that we're hosting, or if you're looking for Stoic quotes, we have the largest database of verified Stoic quotes on our website. So check those out. But for now, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, hope you enjoyed the images, the little videos I took. And if you're planning on going to Greece, definitely visit Rhodes. It's such a lovely island, beautiful place, history, nature. You can find everything here, and the people are super friendly. So definitely recommend that. But for now, have a great day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Via Stoica podcast. If you have enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, rating, and leaving a review. Your feedback will help us reach more like-minded people on the journey to self-improvement. If you want to get in touch with us or find more information, you can go to viastoica.com, your one-stop platform for all things Stoicism and living better. And remember, virtue is the only good.